Right now at noon, numerous cases of West Nile virus have been confirmed in horses across Kansas. We'll have the details.
And we are live in Lamar for the Lamar Free Fair, celebrating 80 years of this event. We're going to have more on the Free Fair and on our dangerous heat that continues across the 4 states coming up.
Plus, the weather outside says summer, but for many, the first sign of fall just arrived. The pumpkin spice latte.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
And thank you for joining us here on KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. Oklahoma authorities have been following up on leads in Park City, Kansas concerning missing persons and possible murders. Brandon Stitt has been following the story and says the Osage County Sheriff has one suspect on his list. Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK killer.
The sheriff tells me that he's gathered a lot of information from this investigation and he is not finished. There's a lot more to talk about and he wants it to come from Dennis Rader.
Right now he's, 100% the suspect.
Sheriff Eddie Verdon says his lead towards Dennis Rader as his prime suspect in the 1976 disappearance of Cynthia Kinney from a Pawhuska laundromat was a simple timeline of when BTK was active.
I came across information, of course, that he was an active serial killer during the time frame that Cindy Kinney went missing.
After looking into Rader's background, the sheriff took a trip to El Dorado and talked to the convicted killer in person.
Basically, all we told him, we were looking at an old case from '76, no details. And the first thing he said is, I only did the first 10.
After a lengthy conversation, it was the ending that really got the sheriff's attention.
As that conversation ended, he said, do you want to know about a fantasy I had that I never got to do? And I said, sure, why not? And he said, I always wanted to kidnap a girl from a laundromat.
It was then that the case really started moving and would eventually take the sheriff back to where Rader once lived, first in April and again Tuesday.
But we found some personal items and some other things of interest in that location. Then in a second location, we found some other items, that were intentionally put.
Now processing those items and following the next lead, wherever it takes them.
I can tell you the investigation will go as far as any leads take us, and we're very committed.
Dennis Rader is currently serving 10 consecutive life sentences at the El Dorado Correctional Facility in El Dorado, Kansas. And multiple cases of West Nile virus have been confirmed in horses across the state of Kansas over the past few weeks. Confirmed cases have been reported in Barber, Butler, Douglas, and Pratt counties. West Nile virus is a preventable disease with annual vaccinations that have been proven highly effective. The virus can infect humans, horses, birds, and other species. All of the confirmed cases in Kansas were unvaccinated horses. For more information about West Nile virus or other animal disease issues in Kansas, go to the KDA Division of Animal Health website at agriculture.ks.gov/animal diseases. And now let's go live to Lamar, Missouri, where our very own Chris Warner has the latest happenings going on at the Free Fair, as well as your Friday afternoon forecast. Chris, how you holding up in that heat out there?
Yeah, it is very hot out here, as we've been talking about, but this is the last real day of the dangerous heat index values, but that hasn't been stopping people from coming up here to the Lamar Free Fair, celebrating 80 years this year right here on the historic downtown square. An absolutely great setup. And by the way, they do have some indoor exhibits at the Theobald Auditorium and at Memorial Hall. So if you come up a little early and you need to cool off, they got some air conditioning. Then you can come out once the sun goes down and enjoy all the rides and other outdoor activities. Lots of vendors will be set up here soon. So we're going to talk about our alert day. This is our last one this week with the excessive heat warnings continuing through the evening. And our heat index values, unfortunately, again today, 105 to 115. So our excessive heat warnings in Kansas and Missouri will expire at 10 p.m. tonight. And in northeast Oklahoma, they will expire at 8 this evening. Yesterday, man, we started the day at 77, so 10 above average, and we made it up to 111 above what our average should be As you know, we don't need to tell you, it's been very hot all week long, and it's already heating up. We've got 93 here in Lamar, 95 in Joplin, 100 in Parsons and Neodesha, 98 in Chanute, 95 Iola, 93 Miami, so you can see it is already getting hot. And then you factor in the humidity in Dew Point. Look at these heat index values. Here in Lamar, feels like 104. Feels like 104 in Webb City, Pittsburgh, 106 in Parsons, and feels like 107 Neodesha, Independence. And then taking the cake, Nowata, feels like 112 degrees. So we're on track for those 115 degree heat index values. So what we're tracking is our alert days. They continue through today with the dangerous heat. As we mentioned, the heat index values up to 115. And then we're watching increasing pop-up storm and even scattered thunderstorm chances as we head into the weekend. We're going to take a full look at your forecast, talk about when it's going to cool down, and we're going to talk with Kim Sullivan from the Lamar Chamber of Commerce about tonight's free fair here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, the only medical facility in the city of Knoll, Missouri is taking action to support its patients who will lose their health insurance once the Tyson plant closes in October. OCH Clinic is giving their patients who take medications prescriptions for 90 days with one refill. That means patients will have up to 6 months of medication available. The clinic is also making sure their labs are current.
We're trying to make sure that they're covered as much as we can as they're moving to different parts of the United States.
We are here for all patients within our community, and we're not moving, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to stay committed to them.
At the beginning of the month, Tyson announced plans to close its plant in Knoll. There, the company employs about 1,500 people. According to the clinic, about 50% of those that reside in the area are directly correlated with Tyson. And still to come, we have a first look at the free fair happening. Oh, we also have new laws. So these are the new laws taking effect Monday. Destroying an ATM becomes a first-degree property damage, and it'll also stealing an ATM and its content is a Class A felony. School resource officers will be allowed to bring firearms into schools and on school buses. And finally, drivers in the Show Me State must be hands-free when using electronic devices on the road. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the 4 states region. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, our very own Chris Warner is live in downtown Lamar. We'll hear how Missouri's largest free fair is celebrating its 76th year. And later, we're making chocolate zucchini bread in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Stay tuned. The weather outside says summer, but for many, the first sign of fall just arrived. Starbucks put pumpkin spice lattes back on the menu, and as Bradley Blackburn explains, the flavor is as popular as ever.
For a generation now, 3 words have come to mark the start of fall: pumpkin spice latte. Ta-da! Otherwise known as the PSL.
When the PSL comes out, you gotta have it. I gotta have one.
20 years ago, Starbucks first mixed coffee and steamed milk with the spices of pumpkin pie. Created a flavor customers crave.
Because it's fall, why not?
What started in one drink is now a full fall menu that's released before the summer even ends.
2 decades show the original PSL has staying power, and the pumpkin spice trend it launched is still growing.
There's been a host of pumpkin-flavored products over the years, from coffee creamers to pumpkin-flavored salsa, Spam, and even pumpkin caviar. Most offerings are only around for a limited time.
There's something about this kind of limited time period aspect of, pumpkin spice, right? So it's kind of like a signaling that fall is here.
Of course, not everyone is a fan.
You're not intrigued. It's been around for 20 years.
I'm not intrigued by pumpkin spice. In fact, I'm not, no.
And jokes are now part of the season.
It's that special time of year where we voluntarily imbibe pumpkin spice lattes, the coffee that tastes like a candle.
Still, the numbers prove pumpkin's popularity. In the past year, U.S. sales of pumpkin-flavored products have reached more than $800 million, a 42% increase from 2019. A taste that only lasts through the fall, but comes back stronger year after year. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, we see what's cooking with Mr.
We all
Food.
hear how good beans are for us. So let me share one of my favorite recipes that highlights a bean that's super popular, yet is often left out of most bean recipes. And yet...
But first, we are live in Lamar in the historic downtown square for the Lamar Free Fair. We're going to talk about the fair, what you can expect this evening, and when our cool down will arrive when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we're going to get to our weather forecast because I know a lot of you are burning up. You're ready for this cooler weather, and I have good news. It is on the way. But you know what else is cooler than cooler weather? The Lamar Free Fair.
Right?
Absolutely.
Cheers to Lamar Free Fair.
Absolutely.
Lots of water being consumed this week.
Indefinitely so, and much needed. So Kim Sullivan joining us this afternoon.
Yes.
So Kim, welcome first off to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
We, of course, right now it's still early. We don't have anybody out yet, but that's about to change. What can people expect this evening?
Well, you know, the rides open at 6, so be ready for that. But before then, if you want to come, there's lots of civic groups that they have food booths here. You can eat a nice dinner. There is displays at Memorial Hall, which has air conditioning, and also Theobald Auditorium. So there's just something for everyone at the Lamar Free Fair. So, yeah.
And tell me about attendance this year. I spoke with a friend who's up here who said that in terms of animal entries, more than he's ever seen before. Has that, despite the heat, has that kind of been the trend? Are you seeing a pretty good turnout?
I think the turnout both nights have been as expected. I don't think we've seen any kind of downturn because, you know, we're hardy here in Barton County and we can fare the weather. So and there's lots of people cooperating with some places to come dip in and get some air conditioning and free water. And so the Lamar Free Fair, this is your fair guide. And so this tells you everything. Car shows at Memorial Park. There's a fun run Saturday morning. There's just a lot going on for everybody.
All right. And if somebody wants one of those guides, where do they need to go?
Actually, you can get your digital copy on Facebook at the Lamar Free Fair Facebook page. So just look them up, and this is in a digital format for you to take a peek at all the things.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, Kim, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I love that the KOM Roadshow picked us to be at, and thank you, Stomping Grounds, for being a sponsor of this, and we're just really excited to be a part of your show.
Well, we're excited to be up here and excited for the free fair. Absolutely. So celebrating 80 years, as we mentioned. So that's phenomenal. Kim, thanks again so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And in terms of our weather, boy, it is eventually going to cool down. So let's take a look at the future track. First, as we head into this afternoon, we talked about this morning, we have the possibility of at least a couple of pop-up storms out there. And as we head further into the evening, again, a few stray pop-up storms, so not rain everywhere all at once, unfortunately, but some activity out there. And then we're going to be watching thunderstorm activity out to our northwest with a cold front that's going to be coming in, and that's going to determine, take a look at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. We've got a few more widespread showers and thunderstorms out there, much needed rainfall. And if the rainfall happens the way the future track shows in the morning, instead of making it as high as 95 tomorrow, we may just make it into the lower 90s for the most part. And then we'll see additional shower and thunderstorm development as we head Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Take a look at 1 a.m. Saturday. And the even better news is we're not anticipating at this point any severe weather with any of this activity. And we could see additional storm development as we go late into Sunday. Let's take a quick look around the area. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line, plentiful sunshine. Same from the MoDOT camera at US 6059 in Neosho. Our camera at KOAM showing clear skies. A few clouds out there, but not many. And from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh. Again, plentiful sunshine. We talked about the temperatures earlier. They are already warming up rather quickly. And unfortunately, one of the things about being remote in the field is internet reliability isn't always the greatest. So I'm not sure what you folks are seeing at home. Unfortunately, I've lost my internet connection out here, but let me just tell you about the rest of the week ahead for our 7-day forecast. So again, we're looking low to mid 90s tomorrow. Still could be a bit on the muggy side out there. And we are otherwise, once we get into Sunday, we're talking upper 80s. I don't know what I can't tell. Ty's out here. Ty, do you know if they're seeing the weather graphics or? Forget it. It's going to be great next week. We're going to go into the low to mid 80s as we kick into Monday in the first half of next week. It is going to be absolutely beautiful out there. And our overnight lows the first few days of next week looking to go into the upper 50s, lower 60s. So give the AC a break, open your windows, and just enjoy this cooler weather as today is the last day of this miserable heat. Caitlin?
Thanks so much, Chris. Looking forward to it. Well, stick around. We're making chocolate zucchini bread in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time to check in with Howard and the Mr. Food Kitchen staff. Today he's making a healthier bread recipe that's a chocolate lover's delight. It's called chocolate zucchini bread. Take a look.
I love beans. And when I say beans, I mean every kind. Everything from green beans and baked beans, which make the perfect side dishes, to navy and kidney beans that are perfect in our soups. But my all-time favorite bean is probably the cocoa bean. Yeah, the cocoa bean. According to the dictionary, chocolate is a food prepared from ground roasted cocoa beans. So, if chocolate is made from beans, and beans are a vegetable, wouldn't it make sense that chocolate is a vegetable too? I think it is. So now, let me show you one of my favorite bean recipes. To make this chocolate zucchini bread, we combine some flour, sugar, baking powder, and baking soda, cinnamon, salt, and cocoa. In another bowl, we mix together a good amount of grated zucchini, a few eggs, vegetable oil, a bunch of pecans, and a splash of vanilla. This gets mixed with our dry ingredients, and into a couple of loaf pans it goes. After it bakes and has cooled, it's ready to slice and serve. And since this makes 2 tasty loaves, you can eat one and gift the other. To get the recipe for our chocolate zucchini bread, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a chocolatey veggie way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
And now here's a look at your 4 state market prices.
All right, we have our alert day today. Excessive heat warnings continue until 10 for Kansas and Missouri and until 8 for Northeast Oklahoma. Heat index values 105 to 115. Temperatures right around 100. Then we'll see those pop-up storm chances this afternoon and again Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And after that, a cold front comes through Saturday and kicks our temperatures down to much more reasonable levels as we go in the low to mid 80s. Overnight lows, upper 50s, lower 60s.
All right, thanks, Chris. It's shaping up to be a great week. You stay warm out there. Well, coming up tonight at 5, COVID-19 numbers are ticking up nationwide, including hospitalizations. We'll take a look at the numbers and how to protect yourself. Plus, Missouri Southern State University battles the heat wave as aging campus buildings push AC units to the limit. And heartbreaks as the heat contributes to the death of a beloved horse at a local therapy horse ranch in Goodman, Missouri. Join us for those stories and more tonight at 5 on KOAM News. That'll do it for today. Thank you for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5. Have a great weekend.